Hello and welcome to a welcome to a guide showing how to make a Guardian Soul super unit, god unit, whatever you want to call it, by creating Guardian Soul, combining it with other affixes, and also upslotting it using ability passes. First things first, let me change the camera angle. Okay, look. First things first, one of the most important items regarding this process will be the ability protection 4-slot or lower. What we're planning to do is make a 4-slot unit that we would upgrade to 8-slot or whatever slot you'd want it to be using ability passes. So it's fine if the initial fix is on 4-slot. As a result, you want to stock up on AC recycle badges. At the moment I have 0, but with a bit of magic, thanks to a generous donation for the purpose of this video, I have 250. That means I can protect this affix, or the affix I plan to make, 25 times. Now 25 times isn't necessarily the large number it sounds like, but hopefully it's enough. To start with, we're just going to grab 10 of these. It needs 100 recycle badges to grab 10 of these. And trust me, this is why if recycle badges spike again, this will be why. On global at least. Also, do note that terms seen in this video are going to be the Japanese Arc-Slayer translation. The actual recipe will be linked at the bottom, or linked in the description, using the global affixing assist, so you have the correct term. For the start, to make Guardian Soul, you're going to need Astral Soul, Ether Factor, Mana Reverie, and Absolute Clear. Now at the time of making this video, only 3 of those affixes have been released. Absolute Clear will be creatable when the final boss is released and we get the 2 Clears that are missing, Shiva Clear and Origin Clear. Now, one big thing that it's up to you, it's up to how many mission badges you have, but one thing I recommend is that you make Astral Soul, Ether Factor, and Mana Reverie by hand, or the hard way, because what you'll realize is that spending 360 badges just to make Guardian Soul and then having to spend another 120 or 240 depending on what your fix ends up being when you're upslotting it isn't sensible, because that's one unit you're spending 600 or 480 badges on, and it's a lot easier and a lot more practical just to make these because you gotta make them with nothing else, right? That makes it a lot easier. So for example, if I were to make Astral Soul, right, I'm not going to be making the full thing, I'm just going to demonstrate how to make the catalyst for anyone who doesn't know. So to make Astral Soul, you need 4 soul catalysts and 1 soul of darkness. Soul of darkness is an affix in of itself, unlike the ones that are going to be following, but soul catalyst requires to be synthesized as the ones that are going to be following. General rule of thumb, the sub catalyst, which are the catalysts themselves, like soul catalyst, factor catalyst, reverie catalyst, those need 4, whereas the main catalyst, where in this case is soul of darkness, but for ether factor it's ether soul, and for mana reverie it's omega memorial, those only require 1. Okay, so we have all the materials we need to make a soul catalyst. It's just elder soul. Oh, I'm trolling. Elder Soul, Luther Soul, Apprentice Soul, Double Soul or Gemini Soul, and Persona Soul. You combine those to make Soul Catalyst. So just for demonstrative purposes, it passed. Right? That's 1 Soul Catalyst. You need to make 4 of those, combine it with Soul of Darkness to make Astral Soul. So that's the first combination of fix out of the way. Anyway, on to Ether Factor. When you combine Deus Factor, Mother Factor, and Yamato Factor, you can make a Factor catalyst. So that part. Combine that with Ether Soul. Now, as opposed to Astral Soul, which only needs Soul of Darkness, which is a naturally dropping affix, to make Ether Factor, you need to make Ether Soul as well, but you only need 1 of them. To make Ether Soul, you need 2 Earth Souls, so that is Eastern Soul, or Old Soul in this case, Full Vega Soul, and Escade Soul. Only 2 of them are needed, so you don't need to break your bank making it. Right, so that's 2 out of 4 done. Next is Mana Reverie. Yeah, the same process. You need Elder Reverie, Luther Reverie, Progena Reverie, Double Reverie, and Persona Reverie. Using the 5 Reveries, you can make a Reverie Catalyst. Reverie Catalysts, much like the other 2, need 4 of them. And the complementary affix is Omega Memoria, which only requires 1. Kind of worried actually. Next, you need Historia Soul, Omega Reverie. They tend to be on the same unit because of Dragon, but Historia Soul and Omega Reverie and Fabulous Soul. With these 3 affixes, you can make what's called Omega Memoria. Omega Memoria, you only need 1, and it's necessary to make Mana Reverie. Now, like I said, for these 3, technically you can use the mission badge, add capsules to skip it, but I wouldn't recommend because the mission badges are limited. They are limited, whereas you can farm these. The final one to make is Absolute Clear, which is typically the most expensive because it's the newest, and there is no capsule for Absolute Clear. So we're going to be making Absolute Clear twice. We make it first for Guardian Soul, but we're going to use it in the final affix as well because there is no capsule for it. So to make Glare Catalyst, you need the Lumimec Glares, which is Veluge or Veluge Glare, Angie, or Dominus Glare. This is the only time where you have a choice of 2, either Dominus or Angie, because they both appear as the final boss of Armada of Annihilation. Then you need Execore Glare, and then finally you need Fortress Glare. Again, the names may be different, don't get too hung up on that. When you combine these together, you get Glare Catalyst. Glare Catalyst, you need 4 of them. No shit, right? Oh, that failed. Just assume that passed, right? So you need 4 of those, and then you also need Photon Glare. Now, Photon Glare is a main catalyst, so to speak, right? And you need Varuna, Mitra, Shiva, and Origin. Combine these, you get Photon Glare. So yeah, that failed too, but pretend it passed. We have Astral Soul, Ether Factor, Mana Reverie, and finally Absolute Glare. Now you need to combine these together to make Guardian Soul, but before you finish, this is where the Soul Receptor and Factor Receptor become so important, because this allows you to do what's known as a pro gamer move. So, while synthesizing Guardian Soul, what you are able to do is you're actually able to transfer Ether Factor while you're making Guardian Soul. You can also transfer Astral Soul because it's a Soul Receptor, but you're not going to do that because you want to make Guardian Soul. So, this is also where you want to use your Protect. So be slow here. I'm going to be slow as well because I'm nervous. These are the main 2 affixes you need. 4 slot, Guardian Soul, Ether Factor. The other 2 affixes can be whatever. You use whatever percent. Let's say I use a 45%. So I've got just over a 25% chance, maybe a 30% to get this done. And then I use a 4% ability protection. So if this fails, I will get all the fodder back apart from this support item. Meaning you can keep trying it as long as you've got ability protections, but you need to make sure you have these sufficient X cubes or augment boosters to actually have a rate that's not literally 1%. So 3, 2, 1, go. As you can see, it failed, and then it tells you here are some abilities that failed. Adding abilities has been halted. Please check the protected item. That was a protected item. I got everything back. Thank goodness. So affixing no longer becomes please pass and I need 8 million X cubes. It now becomes I need 8 million money. You need a lot of money to use ability protections because recycle badges will get inflated. At the moment on global they're about 800k, but even then that's 8 million per protect. If you need 10 protects, that's 80 million, and you're probably going to need about 20, especially if you're doing this off boost week. So that's 160 million. On JP they're 2 mil each recycle badge, so it's 20 million per attempt, 200 million for 10, 400 million for 20. So you can see how the numbers stack up, which is why everyone was hoarding recycle badges. We try again. Failed. So that's 2 protects gone already, which is kind of making me nervous, I'm not gonna lie. There are 2 or 3 protects, depending on how you look at this and depending on how much money you have and how many X cubes you have, there are 2 or 3 protects you need to do. Well, there is 2 that you need to do, and then there are 3 more that are somewhat optional. But we'll get to that when we get to that. And that is the affix created. So this is the first pivotal fodder we need. Guardian Soul Ether Factor with 2 junks. At this point, you now need to prepare to make the final fodder. That was only the first part. So after you've gone and made the Guardian Soul Ether Factor unit, now we're gonna introduce Crack and Absolute Glare. The final affix we're making, is Guardian Soul, Absolute Glare, Crack 4, Crack 5, and Ether Factor. To make this unit, you need the following fodder: 1 unit with Guardian Soul and Ether Factor on, 3 units with Glare Catalyst and Crack 4 on them, 1 unit with Photon Glare and Glare Catalyst on it, and 1 unit with Soul Receptor and Factor Receptor, for the same reason we had it in the first part. So to begin with, now that we've got this unit here, we're just going to lock it, just to be safe. Just seriously, you don't want anything to go wrong. It's just a bit of prudence. And then I'm going to show you how to make the Crack 4 Glare Catalyst unit. Now I'm going to I skipped the first few steps, right? First of all, you want to make 2, well, I can show you the recipe, but you want to make 2 Crack 3s, right? You also want an Exacore Glare Crack 3 fodder. To make that, you need 2 Crack 2s, 2 Exacore Glares. Without boost week, it has an 81%, it has 2 90% chances, so an 81% chance to pass using a 40%. 45% is a 90.25% chance. So outside of boost week, it's still pretty safe, but you don't want to lose the money. In boost week, it's guaranteed over 40%. Right, so we've got all of those, and then all we're going to be doing is making Glare Catalyst. Now, here is something, and a bit of advice I got from a friend when I asked him how he went about doing this, Mil Ranjul, right? He said because of the price, the cost, he uses a protect here. But it's up to you to determine the risk-reward ratio of spending protects to make these fodders, because these fodders are, as you can tell, quite hard to make, especially outside of boost week. You know, it's going to be 55-75. It's not great, you know. That's approximately a fucking barely a 40% chance, if that, like 39. You can use protects here. On JP, it just so happens these stuff are very, very expensive, so I will be using a protect. But if it's cheap where you are and you want to go through the effort of making Crack 3s and the Crack 3 Exacore again, it's up to you. There is no right or wrong answer here. I won't tell you to make it one way or another. This is a 35% chance. So I'm going to be using protects here because I've been generously donated the recycle badges. I might as well. Right? 3, 2, 1, go. It passed first time, which is good. So you need to make 3 of those. You've already got Guardian Ether Factor. Make 3 of those, and then the next unit you go and make it slightly easier. So what you would need for this one, you need to make 2 Photon Glares as per the first part when you're making Absolute. Right? We need to make a Glare Catalyst Photon Glare by using 2 Photon Glares in each of the Luminmech Catalyst. Now, I wouldn't protect this. You only need to make 1 of these, and it's not as arduous or expensive to make as Crack, though your mileage may vary, right? And Photon Glare actually has quite a high percent when using 2 Photon Glare, so you don't necessarily have to protect this. I'm not going to protect it. In fact, I am going to protect it. I lied to you. And if it fails, I'm just not going to try again. I don't know. It passed, right? 56% chance. So once you've made that, and you've made 3 of these, you're done. You're actually done. That's it. So what you also need is you need a soul receptor. Factor receptor. Those are quite easy to get. Those are quite cheap as well. On global, they were like 600k when I saw for some reason. But on JP they're like 15 mil. But regardless, that's fine. You only need 1. You only need 2 of them for the entire fix, but you only need 1 for this stage. Crack 4. 2 of them. And because I've already got the fault, nothing else. And here is the part where you really want those protects. So at the moment I've got 3 protects. We're just gonna quickly invest in about 10 more, because there's a 15% chance of actually making this last part. And like I said, well, let's go with 7, right, to make it 10. And again, just take your time with this part, because it's always nerve-wracking, especially to me. It always makes you feel slightly nervous. Now, another trick, you can keep all the fodder on a subs photon solid barrier if you really want to. The person who provided me the mats actually did that because it increases the percent by 1, and everything helps. But right now, because I'm lazy and because I can, I'm actually not going to do that. Right, I forgot something. The Guardian. Unlock that and wait for it. Yeah, you can have them all on solid barriers if you so wish, because most of the materials you need will drop on solid barriers one way or another, and it makes it a lot easier. So this is the final fit. If you want to do the cage route, it's crack, absolute glare, guardian soul, ether fact. 4 slot of fit, right? Use your 45%, your 50%, your 55 or 60% if global ends up getting them, because this is a 15% chance, give or take. With a 40%, with a 45%, I think it's about 20, right? And this is where you're gonna need your protections. If I get first try, way hey, I've got protections in the bank. If you don't get first try, well, I don't expect to get first. Just double check it. It's crack, absolute, guardian, ether, and hoit. And just keep trying it. If you run out of recycle badges, do not, under any circumstance, decide that you're gonna try it anyway. The risk is not worth it. I'm telling you, it is not worth it. It's never blown up in my face like that. Just spend the money and make sure you're doing it properly. 15% chance is quite low, so you know, on average you're gonna fail about 9 times. So just assume you need 10 passes, 10 protects each time you do it, and don't rush, don't slip, don't become a Reddit post or a image to be posted on Discord or 4chan or wherever the fuck. Don't fuck this up. Take your time. Like I'm looking over it now just to make sure. Obviously I'm talking, which means I can get distracted. And yeah, it's just you just gotta keep doing it. Stock up some money. You know, but once this part is done, you're basically on your home stretch. It's basically home free action. Make sure you don't use crack 4. That's something that's worrying me all the time as well. And it's done. That didn't take that long, considering it's not boost week. With a 15% boost week, the odds are much higher. Even with a 10%, it's good enough. But yeah, that's it done. That is the cage unit. And now there's no risk involved. All it requires is that you have the correct mat. So, you know, your god unit is basically ready to be made. Now that you've made your 4-slot unit, you're going to want a 5-slot unit of any kind and a 6-slot unit of any kind. What the hell am I doing? You want a 5-slot unit of any kind and a 6-slot unit. You also want to make sure your final unit, which presumably has an S-class ability on it, is at the slot you want the final fix to be. Either we're going to go 8-slot for all intents and purposes, but it could be 7-slot, it could even be 6-slot. So I recommend with this ability pass technique, you go as high as possible. Though again, the price, the ability transfer shit fuck price goes up exponentially. So, keep that in mind. But right, we've got 5 slot, 6 slot, and then have I got an 8 slot? Yes, in fact, I do. I do have an 8 slot 13 star unit with an S ability on it. Now, again, this has been donated to me, so I am not actually going to make the final unit. However, right? However, I will show you what it looks like. Right, so how to use ability transfer passes. If you haven't used it before, or if you've used it but you've never used the upslot, this is how you do it. Right? First of all, you want to select the base to be 1 slot higher than your upgraded unit. So at the moment, I've got a crazy unit with Guardian, Ether, Crack 5, and Absolute Glare. Right? You want to make sure you have your capsules. To make this a fix, we're going to be using Mana Reverie, Grand Shoot, and for demonstrative purposes, we're going to be using Sentence Power, but your final fix won't be using Sentence Power. You could, depending on how you make the affix, you could actually make Guardian Soul, Crack 5, Veterans Resolve 5, and Absolute Glare. It's a hellish unit to make. You can make that, and that will allow you to use Ether Factor from the Mission Badge shop to upslot. On JP, we've actually got capsules for the Mark ability, so we could add Mark affixes like Mark Joy or Mark Courage while we're upslotting. But I haven't got any of those on me now, so we're going to be using Sentence Power as a placeholder. Anyways, to use the ability transfer, you select the base to be 1 slot higher than your fodder. So let's use this for example. Then we grab the fodder with all the crazy units on it. And what this actually allows you to do is that it allows you to add abilities to upslot, which is the biggest feature of ability transfer. Not to transfer abilities, but to actually upgrade it. Right, so we're going to G-A-M-E. We're gamers. So we make gamer with a C unit. Right, so this unit will now have Guardian Soul, Absolute Glare, Mana Reverie, Ether Factor, and Crack 5. This will cost 15 passes because 4 to 5, so it's 15 passes. Yep. So now we've got a 5 slot unit that's even crazier than the 4 slot unit. Right? Look at these stats at 5 slots. Look at these fucking stats. It's absurd. But we're not done yet. As corny as that sounds. Next, you do the same thing again. You pick the base unit to have 1 slot more than your created unit. Right? You select your created unit afterwards. And then you use another ability. In this case, it's Grand Shoot, 60R attack. Probably for Luster. I don't know. It's not my unit. Right? Risk free. There is no risk. All you need is the ability passes. So now this costs 25 ability passes. 5 to 6 is 25 ability passes, which means your total ability pass usage is 40. Right? You go through with that. Yep. Now you've got a crazy unit at 6 slot. Now, usually you'd think you'd have to go 7 slot, then 8 slot to finish the unit. But actually, there is a special quirk with S abilities. Now, S abilities are like permanently attached to the unit, so you can't overwrite them, meaning they always occupy a slot. So let's say I had Mark Courage, which is 40 attack, 40 all attack, and 5 PP, right? What we would do is we would select this unit, add Mark Courage, and then now we've got 8 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I clicked yes, which I'm not going to do, that would be the final unit with these stats right here. I'll print screen there. Now again, this isn't my unit, and you can't trade 13-star units, so I won't go ahead with that point, but you should kind of get the gist of it. Your final fix will look something like that. S ability, the newest capsule you added, so it could even be Sentence Power or Sentence Shoot if you want it, Sentence Precision, or whatever you want it to be. But in this case, I'm not doing that, right? Ideally, the typical God unit looks something like this. I've actually got one, right? Now, instead of using Crack, I use Doombreak for the 2 extra PP and the ease of creation. But it will be like Guardian, it will be Grand, Guardian, Mark, Courage, Ether Factor, Mana Reverie, Absolute Glare, Crack in your case, Doombreak in mine. Or yours could be Return, Veterans Resolve, or it could even be EV. You can do what you want with your 4-slot affix. I mean, I'll leave it to the more advanced people who know how to affix, to be able to improvise, right? This guide is for people who may not necessarily know how to affix, which is why I went through every step by step. This is how you end up getting these units, and these stats are really meaty. Yeah, this time ability is 65, so actually the stats I have is 320 melee attack, 260 in the attacks I don't use, 114 each defense, 150 HP, and 34 PP. Now again, as I play Partisan, my stats are geared towards PP, and as you can see by my stats, it really is. It's not geared towards HP so much, but I actually haven't got all 3. I've only got 2 of the god units, legs and rear, and yeah, I've got identical fixes in them. Basically, the video is done. You've seen how to make god unit, but you know, experiment. The whole point of making the god unit, the guardian unit, whatever you want to call it, is that guardian soul needs to be on it, and you make it at 4 slots. 4 slot you can get whenever you want, which is why it's the preferable one. 5 slot is like an AC scratch item, so you might have loads of those if you're well, but you might also not. So the reason why it's done at 4 slot is because 4 slot protection is the easiest way of doing it. Now, technically speaking, you could make it at 3 slots and add ether factor and stuff like that, but remember, the lower slots you have, the more capsules you have to add, and there are only limited affixes that are available in capsule, at least the good ones. Mana Reverie is a godsend, because before Mana Reverie capsule was added, obviously Global has it already, but before it was added to JP, people would make it choosing either Absolute Glare or Mana Reverie, but now you can have both. Hopefully it helped you. By the time this video comes out, Global should be close to having the recipe for it. If not, well, boohoo, you know how to make it. I will be linking the recipe in the description, and yeah, that's it. See ya, and good luck on making your unit, and don't fuck it up. Pay attention, please. Do not become a meme.